The European debt crisis is fueling violent riots in the streets of Spain. The country's unemployment is now at 25%.
Spain's economy is so bad that people are scavenging for food in dumpsters, and there doesn't seem to be any end in sight. Dale Hurd has the story.
On the streets of Madrid this week, it looked like revolution, with police and citizens attacking each other. It was just as violent in Greece, where rioters in Athens hurled gasoline bombs at police. It was as if the end of the summer holidays reminded Europeans that they still face the worst crisis since World War II. Across Europe, stock markets tanked and the euro currency fell. The turmoil ended weeks of optimism from investors who somehow thought or hoped Europe had turned a corner. It clearly has not. A former government official has admitted that Spain is in a state of total emergency, and this is the worst crisis Spaniards have had to live through. At a soup kitchen in Barcelona, a small charity struggles to feed hundreds of poor people each week. The Eurozone crisis is grinding more and more Spaniards into poverty, and increasing numbers of Spaniards too proud to go to a soup kitchen like this one are looking for food in dumpsters at night. Spain is Europe's fourth largest economy and has been dubbed too big to fail, too big to bail. But Spain needs a bailout too, and has had to join Greece in cutting welfare sharply, meaning the good life of cradle-to-the-grave socialism that Spaniards were accustomed to and that created the debt that caused this crisis is coming to an end. Spain's central bank says the economy continues to shrink significantly, sending markets down, borrowing costs up, and protesters into combat with the government.
This is just a powerful signal that we are sending to politicians to let them know that the Spanish bailout is suicide.
Spain risks being destroyed by a perfect storm, with investors taking capital out of the country as quickly as they can, when capital is exactly what Spain's financial system needs to survive. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
Well, the European crisis is already showing up in China, and China is saying they didn't know how bad it was out there, and so they're looking at, do they need to stimulate their economy? The crisis in Europe could hurt the economy here in America as well. Wendy Griffith has that story from the CBN Newsroom. Wendy?
That's right, Gordon. The debt crisis in Europe is just one reason CEOs from America's largest businesses say the U.S. economy is getting weaker. The executives are part of a group called the Business Roundtable, and they now expect the slowest economy since the recession in 2009. They've also cut back on plans to hire people and spend money in the next 6 months. They're worried Washington won't be able to work out a budget deal on taxes and spending, and concerned about the slow economy in China as well as Europe. Massachusetts will appeal a federal judge's decision to grant a convicted murderer's request for sex change surgery. The judge ruled this month that the surgery was the only way to treat Michelle Koselik's gender identity disorder. But the state doesn't want to pay for it. Koselik was a man when he was convicted of murdering his wife in 1990. He's received hormone treatments and lives as a woman in a prison for men. Some of the state's congressional leaders say he isn't entitled to taxpayer money for that surgery. A group of computer hackers from the Middle East has been launching cyber attacks on several major U.S. banks, including Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Citigroup, and others. The attack stopped some customers from getting into their checking accounts and other online services for a while, but they didn't affect any money or personal information. Connecticut Senator Joe Lieberman told C-SPAN he thought Iran might be behind the attacks, but the hackers denied that. So far, the strikes have not been a significant problem, but they have raised some concerns about more serious online attacks on businesses in the future. And Gordon, that is a concern.
It's always a concern, and this may be payback for that Stuxnet virus that knocked out Iran's centrifuges and supposedly set back their nuclear program. We're all facing many challenges today, and America seems to be on multiple war fronts, whether it's cyber wars, economic downturns, or the current attacks on our embassies. It all seems to be aimed at us, and now more than ever we need to pray, and we need to pray for America. And so the 700 Club, CBN, we are calling Americans to pray, Christians in America to pray. And here's our verse. If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and turn from their wicked ways, well, then I will forgive their sin. I will heal their land. That's what we're praying. So we need to do that. We're going to be doing that all the way to the election.